Now it should be unmuted.
Yeah, you're good, Don.
Oh, good. Thank you.
December 9th, 2020 planning board meeting. Joe, we do the pledge still? We haven't done this in a while. Or Adam?
I'll defer on that, Matt.
What's that? Okay, so we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Like,
Guys,
of the United States of America,
To the republic.
republic for which stands under one nation.
God.
Liberty.
Justice for all.
Well, that was well done given the circumstance. So Adam, what board members do we have on here? I see Chris, Don, we have Jim Moore, we have Ralph, we have me, no Kurt that I could see, and no Nancy.
Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Thank you. All right.
All right, so we have,
In case I got something to say tonight.
so we have 5 members, so we've established a quorum. So let's jump right into it. Old business 1408, Deer Pond. Road for major subdivisions.
Hi, Mr. Chairman. It's Andy Brick on behalf of the applicant who's here this evening as well, Surya Salapu. We also have our project engineering team with us, Kevin Boswell and Alvaro Gonzalez. If you remember when I appeared before you in September, I had promised that we'd have this all wrapped up and we'd never have to come back and ask for another extension. The good news is we are really, really close. We have been very, very busy. When I say we, I really mean Alvaro and Kevin. But we have made substantial progress in knocking off the 3 remaining items, sewer, water, and highway. I'm pleased to report that we're expecting DEC sign off on the sewer any day now. We reached out to County Highway immediately after the meeting in September. Eventually, with Adam's assistance and help, we received the necessary forms from County Highway, which we immediately filled out and returned. And we're awaiting their approval of the permits we submitted. And again, Adam has reached out on our behalf to see if we can obtain them. So we expect them shortly. And the water report, a bunch of phone calls, getting all the people together. We eventually got everyone together in a Zoom meeting in November. And we're wrapping up and finishing all the final details. During that call, DPW requested analysis of another scenario, which Alvaro went back and immediately did. And we're now finalizing that report to submit to Fred Howard at the county as well as the town and Hank. I'd love to say we're going to get everything approved this year, and it is still possible that we'll get sign off on all 3 items this year. I don't think realistically, though, we would be able to get them and get back before you at your meeting on the 23rd in order to obtain final plat approval. So I would ask your indulgence for one further 3-month adjournment. I think you will see us in early 2021 before you with an application for final plat approval. With that being said, the whole team's here. If you have any questions or want to talk to engineering with the engineers, they're here. But that's where we are in terms of the process.
So I'm going to say something that's very frank. I mean, I'm not confident you guys are going to get this done in 2025. So I open it to the planning board members to get their opinion. Nobody?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when we met in, I think it was September, and this was, I don't even know how many extensions we did say this was the very, 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 very last one. So I'm concerned about the precedent that this sets as we've gone on for several years now. It started in 2018 and was supposed to be 180 days. So I saw the motion that was written up for this, and it looked like an extension. You're asking them to be extended till March of 2021 now, is that correct?
Well, I believe the request is for a 3-month extension. I don't think we'll need a full 3 months. I just think realistically, we may get all 3 outstanding approvals by the end of the year, but then we wouldn't be able to appear before you to seek final plat approval. I think
what is still outstanding here? Because at that September meeting, you assured me when I said to you, I would prefer to not see you again at the meeting, at another meeting without approving this. So outline the steps and the schedule that you guys have to get this done.
Sure. Kevin, you want to take that?
Yes. My name's Kevin Boswell. I'm a principal of Boswell Engineering. I'm a licensed engineer in New York and New Jersey. Alvaro Gonzalez Alvarez is also a licensed PE in New York. We got involved. We have 2 offices, and our South Hackensack office got very involved in this. Pardon my dog barking in the background, but we got involved in this with the understanding that we had to get the deliverables in to the 3 reviewing agencies and follow up with them. I'd be understating it if I said it was difficult to get a hold of certain people, such as the Rensselaer County Highway Department, and also ascertain exactly what the requirements were for the water supply modeling, which again, we submitted and now we're resubmitting based on a different flow scenario. You're absolutely right that these are not, this is not rocket science, but it does take the give and take of input from those review agencies. And we only were recently able to secure input that allowed us to make the submissions. And I'd like to just ask Alvaro to briefly, Alvaro did an outline and all 3 of the requirements. And Alvaro, drinking water, sanitary, and road. If you could just summarize the status of all 3 and how, we chased down the necessary people. We spoke with them on what date, we turned it around on what date, and where are we on all 3, please?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Alvaro Gonzalez. Right now, we submitted the sewer report, the sanitary sewer report back in October 16 of this year. We didn't submit that before because it was outstanding quote unquote issue that was that one of the requirements from DEC was to make sure that the flow from Deer Pond was not going to exceed the existing sewer capacity. So
Of the coreless pump station.
Yeah, the coreless pump station.
Of the downstream receiving pump station. Please, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's the sewer system is draining into a pipe that is on Elliott Road and then goes to coreless pumping station, and then from coreless pumping station goes to a manhole and then to the water treatment plant. So the idea is to check that the 48 GPM, the gallons per minute that was coming, the peak flow that was coming from Deer Pond was not going to exceed the sewer capacity. So to estimate that, you need, you can do it theoretically or use major gauge value. So DEC opted for not only having the theoretical value, but also gauge value. So to do so, we needed to collect at least 6 or 7 months of data from Corliss pumping station, and that delay a little bit the completion of the sewer report. But as I said to you, we completed that in October 16. But DEC is still under review, so it's been a month and so, almost 2 months. And we're gonna get.
I would interject there and say, it would be helpful to have a more succinct timeline. We understand the engineering and how that stuff works, right? So, but to have a more succinct timeline of why is this, how do we get to the end? That's what I'm getting at.
Well, we're not aware of any further comments that are required from the DEC, and we are anticipating that the next correspondence we hear from them is an approval. So we believe we have everything into them. As far as the County Highway Department, that was submitted after multiple back and forth. It was submitted on December 2nd. And again, we believe that the next time we hear from them will be in the form of an approval. And the last one, the WaterCAD, the revised report is being submitted on December 11th. So it will be submitted this Friday. It's been revised. I can go into all the detail, but again, you're right. It's all the detail that we need to
go into detail. I mean, Adam, what is this project number? What's the project number? I'm just trying to identify where we started here.
1408.
So 2014. So here we are, still empty promises, right? So we eventually have to get to an endpoint, and it's frustrating.
Well,
And Mr. Chair, I recognize that. And you were clear at the last meeting. You really didn't want us back. I would submit a number of things for the board's consideration. We're at the point now where we're just waiting for approvals back from the work that we needed to do. And also, please keep in mind, this project entails a water tower that will benefit the area as a whole. So please don't penalize the area as a whole because we haven't been doing things on a timely basis. There is a community benefit here.
Tell me the other benefits other than the water tower.
Well, increased tax base, increased housing opportunity. We demonstrated no impacts to the traffic system. So it is a beneficial project, and I admit you were clear that you didn't want to grant any more extensions after September. What I'm submitting is, with one more extension, we will have the necessary approvals in place from other agencies that we're waiting on, and be in a position to submit for final subdivision approval and be done. I had thought we'd be able to do it this year. It doesn't look like we're going to make it by the end of the year. We're respectfully requesting just a little bit more time to finish it up.
You've been the representative on this project for at least the past 2 years. You've been the person that came in and told me that same thing every time. And here we are. It's December 9th of 2020. So I open it up to the planning board to hear what they have to say. Ralph's talking. I can't hear him. Ralph. So Nancy, if you want to, were you talking? Nancy, unmute yourself. Or someone unmute her.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. The only thought I had, regarding this last delay is it has been incredibly difficult moving my projects, which are construction projects and government funded, through the local building departments, the health departments, getting people to respond. So, I mean, if you ran into that problem recently, which I think you stated a little earlier, and sorry, I chimed in a little late here. I can really see where maybe we could give them a little more time right now so that we could get responses from different agents. I mean, how many people do you still have to hear from? I mean, what government agencies, local officials?
Enter your meeting ID.
We need DEC to sign off, and Bonnie Starr, who is the reviewing person there, said she will be issuing that. We expect their final approval on the sewer this week.
Okay.
Water, they requested an additional scenario to be analyzed. So we're doing that report, and we will submit that to Fred Howard and Town DPW. And we're hopeful that they will sign off and we'll get their final approval shortly after we submit it to them. And then County Highway, it took some doing to get contact and communication with them. But thanks to Adam, we were able to finally have communications with them. We got them what they needed on October 20, and we are still waiting for their approval, which we anticipate. They have all the permit requests in their possession, and we expect that approval.
Yeah, with the surge too. I mean, the other.
Ralph, I think I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Matt?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So
So don't call in, then we'll get feedback.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Nancy.
It's okay. That's okay. I'm trying to give him an excuse here. I mean, I'm having trouble getting.
No, I was just going to say that I've driven by the site for the last 3 years every day, and I keep saying to myself, well, this pond that has algae bloom and stagnant water that's been sitting there is eventually going to go away. And every 6 months or so, you come to the meeting, you tell us it's going to be next meeting, and it's a little discouraging. And what I'm really worried about is if we go ahead and grant you this extension, then just how long is it going to be before the project actually starts? Is this going to just be ongoing, where it gets delayed and delayed and delayed, and we're talking 2 or 3, 4 more years before financing whatever gets going? I would like to have the owner or the developer or somebody give me some type of assurance that this pond that I drive by every day, even though it has nothing to do with the integrity of the project, that something is taken care of with the algae bloom and the way the pond looks, and the green standing water that with the mosquitoes and everything else that have been there year after year after year.
Joe Slater, can we issue an extension that's shorter than 90 days?
Yeah, I'd say it's within the board's discretion.
And Mr. Chairman, I don't think we'd need a full 90 days. I think.
Yeah, I'm inclined to give you 7, but yes.
Can you recap what it is you're waiting to hear from the highway department about? Because I thought there were some open issues about the concerns of traffic inflow onto Elliott Road, the line of sight with the big hill. Is that what they are relooking right now, or is that something else?
I'll let Kevin chime in on that because he's dealing with them.
The site issues have been resolved. The site distance issues have been resolved. And I would note, to come back to Nancy, I'm sorry, I don't know your last name, but we had a real hard time getting a hold of the county highway department, and all of those attempts are documented in emails that Adam has copies of. And we don't believe that there's going to be anything but an approval as a response, or else we wouldn't be sitting here saying, we think this is all going to get done by the end of January. We honestly believe that that's where we are, but believe me, we hear your frustration in your voices. And what we're trying to tell you is, as of this Friday, and due to recently requested information of a revised WaterCAD report is being submitted. So everything that is requested, all the deliverables have been vetted and submitted as of this Friday. 2 of them have gone in over a month ago, and 1 of them is remaining, and that's a revised submission that was requested. So the deliverables are out the door as of Friday. Great.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's unfair to take a project that started in 2014 and now start to blame state agencies for their feedback. I mean, frankly, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but that doesn't carry water with me.
If I may, the good thing, and Adam can actually corroborate that, is that the difference between, what was before and now is that every single step that we're making right now, we immediately call for the feedback of the agencies. Every single step, for example, the control system for the booster pump station for the water system. I immediately called DPW, Dan Fiacco, so this is the SCADA system that we're proposing. Give me the phone number of your supplier or the person who is in charge of that to be if they are compatible. And they said, yes, they are compatible. So most of the things that we've been proposing have already the quote unquote approval of DPW or DOH before making a final decision. That's why we are very, very positive that all these documents are going to be approved, because every single week I make phone calls or emails with either Fred or Dan or Henry, or the 3 of them, and even Adam is in the loop in all these emails and phone calls. And that's why we're positive that these documents are going to be approved, because we interact with them all the time. We don't make any decision prior they approval, unofficial, but we know, because what we don't want is to show a document that they don't know of and then start to make comments. So now that when they receive the document, they know what they have to look for.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But I was just, adding to Adam's point. I don't think it's correct to blame other agencies for their delay in reviewing this, right?
That's correct.
A long time.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how many days do you guys need?
We're submitting the water report this coming Friday. The submission delayed because after a discussion with Adam was there, DPW wanted to explore an additional scenario, putting a valve off on Horizon View Drive and see how it worked. We were running the model and we're fine tuning the document. And this Friday, I hope, that's my goal to send that out.
No, how many days do you need to get this approved?
Mr. Chair, I believe our current extension expires on January 5. So we have some built-in time there. I would request 60 days from that date. And also, if I may, we kind of got past Ralph's question about the construction schedule as well as the pond. I believe the intent is to begin construction as soon as possible in the spring, depending, obviously, if we have to get final approval by March, we're well on that track if we get a 60-day extension. And if whatever needs to be done with the pond, we can do that while infrastructure is being installed. Whatever needs to be done, I can coordinate through Adam what the town or the planning board's looking for in terms of that pond that's there. We can.
I don't think that Ralph's point necessarily was just the pond. It was just that the project's not going to go.
He's been driving by it a long time. Now, I get that. I get that. But there are things in our control we can offer, like, we can rectify an algae situation.
And, and one of my concerns is I don't know how long that you have to start construction once you get final approval, Adam. What's the timeline once they get final approval to actually start the project? Do they have a year? So it could sit. It could sit for a couple of years. It could sit for 3 years. Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that, like I said, if the project, we grant approval and the project sits, we've already been 6 years in the making, the project sits for another 5 years, then all the data and all the engineering and everything that you put into this really isn't going to be any good. We could have some other developments that come nearby in the meantime. We could have some other changes, some other, developments or whatever that would take some of the of our pumping station capacity. So that's the only thing I'm leery of. The track record hasn't been good with you with this project, and that's what I'm concerned about. We've gone 6 years in the design and development. My concern is it could sit there for another 6 years.
Yeah, and
I know it's something we can't.
If you can wait, if your extension goes till January 9th or whatever that date was, I'm not inclined to vote on it tonight. I'd rather wait.
May I please answer this question of Ralph? I'm the developer and our funds have been waiting for the approval. I think Adam knows that we have been waiting for the last 3 years. Our funders are ready with funds and I'm just waiting for the final approval. So once it is approved in the first quarter of the 2021, we are going to start immediately. It's not for a paper approval. We seriously want to start the construction. So I think Adam is aware of this. I'm as much frustrated that, it is taking so long a time for the approval. There are so many departments involved and I was not aware of so much of complication, but my funds are waiting. We are waiting. My investors are waiting. So we are going to start the construction immediately. We are not going to wait even for, and we are going to provide the financial security, the bond, and we are going to proceed. And I'm very serious. I want to start the construction. I purchased a house in 207 Elliott Road just for the sake of developing this particular plot. I purchased it just for the sake of, I'm serious. I'm a CPA in the New York City and, I was also state contractor. I'm still a state contractor for IT and all. I love this place and I want to develop this place. It is not for profit. I started this. And when I purchased this land, I had very big dream. of developing this place. It will develop into a beautiful, beautiful unit. And we are going to start in 2021 itself. There is no doubt about it. And I think Adam knows about my seriousness. Even Andy recently suggested whether we are going to start. I said, we are going to start immediately. We are not going to wait. This is my...
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time and investment into getting this project going. But I would also say that I would like to wait until that January 9th date or whatever that date is, you know, in that first meeting in January for us to take care of that. If that's possible.
As a developer, my request is that please give us one extension, and because I cannot have the same sort of suspense. Even today, I would have driven to Albany. There were times when I drove to East Greenbush just to attend this meeting. I'm so serious. And this long time is not my mistake. I do not blame anybody, but I never even knew that it involved so many approvals. Perhaps I wouldn't have started at all. I live in Old Westbury in New York. I did 2 projects within the same time. I mean, in New York City, and this is rather frustrating to me also. And I attended almost all the meetings. Adam knows about it. And Andy is also working so seriously. I think the last quarter, there is a remarkable progress. I need one more quarter. I want to be very practical. And if it is not done by next quarter, and I'm going to give up the project myself. I will not bother you. Because it also, you should be aware of the frustration I'm facing as an investor, as the developer. I'm not a professional developer. I just wanted to develop this particular plot because I loved this place. So I want you to understand my sincerity here. I have a seriousness here that I want to develop this plot. It's not for profit or anything I'm doing it. I have a great liking for East Greenbush. I'm a part of East Greenbush. So yes, you have given us long time. You've given us long time. Thank you very much for that. But this is the last quarter extension I want. I don't want to be, give words. But I think by next quarter extension, if it is not done, I will withdraw myself. I won't bother you anymore.
Mr. Chairman, if I may make a proposal, I believe your January meeting would be after the date that this expires. If you would consider granting.
Why don't I propose February 1st?
I think that will be difficult, sir. I don't want to,
you guys are talking about stuff being done by the end of the week, right?
As I see the things, anything can happen. I want to be realistic. I need 1 quarter extension, as I told you. Otherwise, I'll withdraw my application myself. I will not come to you for any other extension. This is my commitment to you. I don't want to,
let me just go through the board and get their opinion. So Jim Moore, I'm just going through pictures.
And I want to remind you that I'm a part of East Greenbush. I'm a resident of East Greenbush. I'm not like an outsider coming from the city to develop this place, get an approval and sell that. No, that's not my idea. I live there. I want to develop that place.
Yeah, I just want to get feedback. So Jim Moore.
Yeah, I have a question for Alvaro. Make sure I understand one of his comments pertaining to the water modeling. It was mentioned that a new scenario was asked to be modeled. Was that the town DPW that asked for that scenario?
Yes.
So you're in the midst of modeling that, and you're resubmitting that model at the end of the week. That's the plan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the DPW's request is out of sync with the planning board's work and the planning department's work to date. So I'm not sure what anybody can do about that. I guess my point is not so much to assign blame, but to try to come to a fair-minded understanding of the dynamics here. And it seems as though there's collaborative effort in getting to this point, and I guess there's a shared responsibility on some level to recent changes. Is that fair to say or not? And you mentioned that it was an issue from early on. I don't know how it evolved, obviously, but what's your sense of that, Adam? Yeah, it's more important to get it right, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So, okay.
And I'm not opposed to providing another 90. Well, I am opposed to providing another 90-day extension, but that's why I want to hear this feedback and see what people think.
That's so kind of you, sir. 90 days is only the maximum we want, and I'm sure that.
But we're not even there yet, so we just.
No, I mean,
one board member so far. So Ralph, what do you got?
Well, I mean, whether it's, I'd like to give them 60 days.
You want to do 60?
Yeah, I mean, if they can't get it done in 2 months, they're not going to get it done in 3 months.
Yep.
And I
the
feel we've been more than fair.
And the argument we've heard tonight is that they're so close that, things will be happening by the end of this week or next week. I'm good with 60. So then we have Chris.
Actually, Matt, you had said, suggested February 1st. That's almost two months from now. I'm comfortable with February 1st date. That they think it's going to happen in the next week or two. I'm really concerned about the precedent we're setting and establishing boundaries and then pushing them and pushing them and pushing them.
Yep.
Excuse me, sir. I mean, I just want
just give us a few more. Let us have the next couple of board members talk. So, Don?
Yeah, I wasn't around for 5 years of this. I just wonder how many extensions have there been?
More than 7, I think.
Wow. Yeah, that was there original time frame for this to be done, or?
Yeah, I think 7 extensions ago.
Okay. Well, I'll go 60 days on the extension because this has been going on too long.
Yeah.
So.
Nancy?
I would have no problem with 3 months, honestly. It's so close to getting done. And if that's the time that the developer thinks he needs, I'm fine with that. I mean, nothing's going to happen with the algae blooms over the winter, Ralph. They're there, but they're probably frozen.
Yeah, I think that wasn't Ralph's point, right? The point is that he drives by it frequently, and Ralph's been around for quite a while on the board and just in the town in general. And this thing's not getting done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I would say, why don't we set a date of February 15th? We'll meet in the middle of, well, not really in the middle. Are people good with that, Jim?
May I make a submission, sir? We would definitely complete by that time, but I don't want that, 1 day, 2 day difference to make the whole project after so much of hard work to go bad. I want 3 months extension, please. Please, we will complete it within a month or 2, but you don't know this departmental, so many complications. I just need 3 months, and I have never come to you in front of you to make a personal representation. All along, Andy was representing me. This is
Andy's told me that how many times? All your representatives have told me that so many times.
As I told you,
I think that's where I'm having a problem. Is Andy just absolutely promised us that there would absolutely be no more extensions.
I mean, yeah, you can always say so much bullshit. Excuse me for saying that, but at what point do you just give up? We just cannot accept.
I will give up myself if I cannot complete this thing within 3 months. I mean,
Andy told me that. Your engineers have told me that. Everyone's told us that.
This is my personal submission, sir. I never made such a submission before. I am going to withdraw myself if we cannot complete within the next extension. Why I need?
So I'm going to propose February 15th.
I hate to even bring this up, but your comments are actually making me a little leery of the fact that you don't even think in 3 months you're going to have it done. I mean, Andy had started the meeting and Kevin started the meeting saying that we're really, really, really close. Now you're getting me a little worried here because you keep asking for at least this 3 month extension. There's got to be something else that's making you think that it's going to take this long.
That's because I am worried of some departmental delay. I see the delay is not from my side. My funds are about 2 years.
I believe it is. It's whether it's from you or whether it's from the people that are working with you or the departments that they're, I mean, somewhere along the line, you're going to have to say to yourself, hey, I've been at it 6 years. You know, I think the town of East Greenbush has been fairly, pretty fair with you so far, sir.
You must also realize that for 6 years, I've been paying the taxes for all my house as well as the land. I wouldn't have loved it. I wouldn't have liked it. I never wanted it. I wanted to start the project within the next year itself. And I consulted the engineers and they said it is possible. If I had known that it would take such a long time, I wouldn't have started at all. First of all, I am suffering because of this delay. I am paying the taxes. It is for no use. I'm just not, I bought the house only for the sake of this development. So kindly understand, I'm the victim. I'm not the, the delay is causing me a lot of loss. I am not interested in even delay even by another month. I would be very happy if it is done by the end of this year. But I don't want to come back to you and again, go through all this thing. I just request you to give me 90 days, but I will be after my engineers and we will complete it at the earliest, maximum within a month. I really don't like it.
I'm going to propose that we go February 10th. So that's the first meeting in February. We'll extend it until then, and we can meet again there. I mean, we're going to debate. We've been talking about this for 46 minutes at this point. I'm not sure we're going to get to a solution.
I think 60 days you said from January 7th, maybe that could be better, sir. That's the...
Yeah, I'm going to go February 10th unless someone else thinks differently.
February 10th is only 1 month from there. They are giving only 1 month extension to us. January 7th is the last.
Yeah, but it's 2 months from tomorrow. And the indication, like Ralph said, from the start of this meeting between your attorneys and your engineers is that this is going to get done. So we'll go February 10th and then you can come back and please.
In this situation, I think it will be.
I mean, I would implore you to take that date because the other option's not going to be great.
And Mr. Chairman, thank you. That's actually what I was going to propose earlier, that if you can put it to a date when you have a meeting, so that way, hopefully we're on that agenda or one prior to it with the final plat application, because we do have to come back to you with the final plat once we get all these approvals in place. So if the extension goes at least to a meeting date, that gives us the ability to hopefully be on that meeting date with the final plat application.
Yep, and that is a meeting date. That'll be the first meeting in February. So, Jim, what do you think?
So of the 3 items, can the applicant say which of those 3 items is the most susceptible to additional comments? It sounds like the sanitary sewer report, DEC, is indicated they're fairly comfortable with that.
Yes.
The county highway department, I'm not as sure what to think of that situation. And then the water modeling reports with a recent revision being, submitted for the first time. My intuition about that is there's likely to be a comment. So can you give me a sense of what you think the likely approval scenario would be? And which of those 3 items is, I guess, most susceptible to public comment?
Yeah, as you said, sewer, the approval is right there. The water, that scenario, actually, when we run it, it didn't affect what we thought was the best scenario of all. So I don't think that is going to take that long. So many comments, because as I said to you, every single comment that I've been addressing from Fred, I called them right away here and then, and I told them regarding this issue, I'm planning to do this, and that. What do you think? And also Hank is in the loop, and we all discuss what I'm planning to do. They approve unofficially. So I don't think that we're going to have many comments on the water report either, because I've been having their feedbacks constantly. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, to be honest.
Great, thank you.
So that sounds like February 15th is reasonable.
I want a minimum of 2 months, sir, from the date of, from January 7th. I think March.
Yeah, just want to get
meeting-
feedback. Just want to get feedback. So Ralph, you're the next screen that I can see.
Yeah, I think that February 10th date is about as far as I'm willing to go.
Okay. Chris, you're the next screen I can see.
Yeah, I think February 10th is where I'm comfortable at this point.
Don?
As well, not going further.
All right. Don, is February 10th good for you?
Yes, I heard February 15th mentioned too, so it's going to be the 10th then, right?
Yeah, 15th I just came up with when I looked at the calendar. So 10th would be the meeting. February.
I'm good with the 10th.
Nancy?
10th is fine.
Okay. I mean, the 10th doesn't mean that you can't come back and plead your case and let us know that you hit different hurdles. So we would still have that opportunity to send you at that point, but I think based off tonight's conversation, it would be unlikely.
And we appreciate that, Mr. Chair. We'll do everything possible to avoid that.
You told me that last time.
I know.
Okay, so with that, if everyone's good, I'm going to make a motion for the major 62 lot cluster subdivision for Deer Pond, that whereas the town of East Greenwich Planning Board granted conditionary preliminary plat and pre-construction approval of the above mentioned subdivision on April 11, 2018. And whereas the preliminary plat approved dated April 11, 2018 required the applicant to satisfy several conditions within 180 calendar days of the resolution. And whereas in accordance with Article 4, Section 5 of the town subdivision regulations, the final plat and other supplementary documents shall be filed with the clerk of the planning board within 180 days after preliminary plat approval. And whereas the applicant was granted extensions in accordance with town subdivision regulations on September 10, 2018, January 9, 2019, April 10, 2019, July 8, 2019, October 8, 2019, January 8, 2020, September 23, 2020, extending the conditional approval until January 4th, 2021. Be it resolved that the Town of East Greenwich Planning Board hereby grants extension to be applied retroactively period December 9, 2020 through February 10th, 2021 to the applicant to satisfy the conditions within the preliminary plat approval and file the final plat and supplementary documents in accordance with Article 4, Section 5 of the town subdivision regulations. And be it further resolved that the planning board hereby grants an extension of the conditional approval in accordance with Article 4, Section 5 of the town subdivision regulations commencing on December 9, 2020 until February 10th of 2021. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Who was that? Ralph?
Don. I second. Don Panton. I second it.
Second by Mr. Panton. Shit. Sorry, I have to do roll call. Mr. Viola?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Horn?
Yes.
Ms. Kupiak?
Yes.
Mr. Panton?
Yes.
All right. We will see you in February.
Thank you very much, all. I appreciate it.
Thank
Yep.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Yep.
India.
Happy holidays.
Adam, what's next? Definitely gonna be a short meeting, huh?
Steve, we're ready whenever you are. Noise bar, man. Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure that he knows that we can hear him. Wait 1 second.
Yeah, I tried to print it out and it came out all black. Used up all my black toner. And you can't get toner anymore because everybody's working from home. Terrible.
Hopefully. That was not about the project. That was about Steve. It's the quietest he's ever been on a project we've ever had.
Let me shoot him a text.
Okay, while we're waiting for Steve to pop back on, hopefully, can I bring up some other old business that's not on the agenda? Is that allowable? I'm just curious, as I've been going up and down Route 4 for the last month or so, all the drama that we had with 44 Troy Road and whether they were going to put the parking lot in and the landscaping and everything. I wonder if anybody else has noticed that they're just repaving efforts. They have paved such a much larger portion of the front yard of that home. It looks to me like they have paved over the driveway, the circular driveway, to almost, as large a width and depth as the parking lot they were, proposing to put in. And
Yeah, this came up. I think they withdrew their variance application or something.
Yeah, so they withdrew it and said, we're just going to repave what we've got. But what they repaved wasn't the same square footage of where the circular driveway used to be. They have extended that dramatically. I went back and looked at some of the pictures, where they were proposing it. And, Adam, I don't know if you've noticed that at all or driven by, but it seems like, we kind of got schnookered that they went ahead and put in the parking lot. Didn't mark it as such, but they've made it so much bigger and wider, that whole asphalt area, that I can't believe that it's within the right to code that it should be.
Chris, I don't know what the extent of existing paving was, but I thought I saw paving in the backyard.
They did. They paved the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, is that you?
Yes, I just joined on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's
Okay.
just. And I realized that I was
do have pictures of the front. I do have pictures of the front yard of the existing pavement before it was paved. If you need those, Adam. And unfortunately, like you said, I don't know what we can do now, but it was a little upsetting after all the time and effort we put into the site that he went and just withdrew the application, and then to come back and pave more than he should have is another slap in the face, which I hadn't noticed that, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's why that's not the only reason, but one of the reasons that I was maybe a little more aggressive with the last applicant is that I'm tired of getting, people coming to meetings and telling us one thing and then not following. That's
well.
So Steve, this is a good starter for your project. Jim, go ahead.
You're making me nervous now.
So I don't know, is there anything that we can do, Adam or Joe or anybody? Because I've seen cars doubled up, 2 and 3 thick, if you will, and what used to be a driveway where there wasn't room to do that before. And I feel badly for the neighbors, that at least if they had moved forward with the other plan, there would be screening on both sides of the property from the neighbors. But there's just so much more asphalt in that front yard now. It is practically a parking lot.
Didn't we approve a site plan?
Assuming there's a site plan prior to that on file, if they are not in compliance with that, then they can be referred to code enforcement. Correct that?
Yeah, and we approved a site plan at that site, like, within, I've been on the board for 8 years. Within the past 8 years, we've definitely done that. All right. So, yeah, we can take that offline. So let's move on to whatever it is that's. No, the church.
So you guys are able to hear me?
No.
Yes.
Well, you're all in such a festive mood. It sounds like it's going to be an easy approval tonight, so I'll make it quick.
Hold on one second. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you?
I can.
Yeah, I can.
Yep.
Thank you, Dahlia.
You're welcome.
So on the line with me is Pastor Brad Gunther, who the pastor at Emmanuel Church. A few, I know we had met with Adam and the supervisor and a few other members, I believe, as well. So a few of you will recognize Brad. The parcel of land that is situated in front of you is located at the end of Onderdonk Ave, which is a long, narrow road in the middle part of the page. It just dead ends and it's just cut off at the end. There's no turnarounds or anything. And then the parcel also has frontage on 9 and 20, where you see the road coming out from the larger parking lot. That location there is almost across from Paisan's Pizza. In between those two locations, between Onderdonk Avenue and that access point, is that the retaining wall that I believe the old Onderdonk house used to sit on top of that. And to our north, if you're heading in a direction towards Rensselaer, let's say towards Town Hall, to the north is the cemetery there. Let's see, that is the Greenbush Cemetery. And that cemetery is on our north side, but it also wraps around onto our westerly side as well. So the right side and the rear of this is all bordered by the cemetery. So in essence, what we are looking to construct here is a one-story, 10,000 square foot church, and in total about a 200-car parking lot. But let me say that what the intent is, the parking lot in front of the church is about 100 cars, and then the intent is to have an overflow parking lot that we are showing a potential of another 100 cars. And the intent for that parking lot would be a crusher run lot, not a paved surface. Right now, Emmanuel Church is up on Ferndale Road. They happen to be my neighbor on Ferndale Road, and I believe they have about 5,000 square feet and about 80 parking spaces. So The goal is here is if they're able to move into this location here, that the church would grow, and therefore we're doubling the size of the church and showing some added parking. We would want to point out, and we'll show in future submissions, is that the 10,000 square foot church is an overall desire of the church. We may show an initial phase where maybe it's 7,000 to 8,000 square feet. Certainly they don't need to build more church than they need, and finances come into play as well. So that is something that Pastor Brad and I and the project team are still working on. So aside from that, we do have water and sewer located at this site, so we would be making connections to the existing water, which fronts on Columbia Turnpike, and sewer that is situated on Onderdonk Avenue. And certainly whatever DEC guidelines with respect to stormwater management we would be following as well. We do have sandy type soil here, so we're going to utilize as much infiltration and recharge that we can for the surface water. One thing to point out, we did had a hearing 6 o'clock tonight with the town board. This project would require a zoning amendment because churches are not an allowed use within this B2 zone. So we did reach out to the town board to see if they would approve a zoning amendment, which my understanding is that it would allow churches in B2 zones throughout the town of East Greenbush, not really just this site specific, but would be a bit of a zone change for the B2 zone in general throughout the town. So hopefully you all were able to hear.
As far as process, right? So what they're looking for from the planning board is that we make a recommendation to the town board to approve a zoning change. I personally am not inclined to do that in one meeting myself. I'd like to think through it more, but I would like to hear some feedback from the board members. So I can, Nancy, you're the first person I see. So this is not about the recommendation for a zoning change? Yeah, we might as well talk about them at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so is this more informational, and then we'll get an idea about this site plan, and then kind of close the book on this specific project, and then turn the page to the amendment.
All right. Yeah. So let's put the site plan then. So Nancy, any comments on this?
I'm familiar with churches. I do a lot of work with churches, and I understand the religious property law that the information you sent to us. Actually, I went online and researched it prior to getting the package from Dahlia or Allison. I can't remember who sent it. So I think that churches probably should be allowed in B2. I do know that when we were asked to do another zoning amendment for another project, we decided it was too close to the comprehensive plan being done, and possibly then new zoning laws coming into play. But on the other hand, if this could move along and no one objects to having churches in B2, I have no problem with it. I can see where it would be posing this undue burden throughout the town, and kind of surprised it never came up before. Was a little confused as to why the word civic has to be included, because civic purposes are allowed in a B2. So I don't know why civic is going to be mentioned twice, but we can discuss that later. I would have no problems with it. I do know that when I've worked with churches, however, the last one was St. Timothy's in North Greenbush. We wanted to do some multifamily housing on the property that the church owned. And we met with the county executive and a few other town officials, as well as the church. And everybody was batting around talk that Well, as long as it's within the church's mission, we don't need to go to the zoning board because churches can do whatever they want on properties within their mission. And I didn't think that was correct. So
I don't think that's correct.
I would like some clarification. Maybe Joe could help with that a little bit. But I have no problems with religious uses, churches within a B2. I would be fine with it. And if
Nancy, can you explain you in your comments, and thank you, that's helpful. You said that it does place more burden on the town.
Well,
Tax exempt.
yeah, I don't know if you read.
Property, no tax base.
Just because of the tax base is what you're referring to?
No, it's
sorry.
churches should not be excluded from a zone like this. Doesn't pose a burden. There's no reason for churches not to be able to enjoy being in a zone like this when you have other fraternal organizations and so on that can be throughout it's more discriminatory, I guess. Maybe Joe can chime in on that and explain it better. It's an undue burden on the church, on churches in general, that they cannot develop in a B2 zone. There's no good reason for it from the town's perspective.
Okay. Ralph, that's what I was thinking too, is that it's using land that otherwise could be tax generating land.
Well, that's always the issue is, I build homeless housing and it's like, oh my God, you're going to take this, away from the tax base, da-da-da-da-da. Well, okay. So, but you got to look at the benefit on the flip side of what you're trying to achieve with providing housing for people that would otherwise be on a park bench. So, but it's Joe, can you explain that a little clearer to the planning board? You gave it. Go ahead.
Can we right now focus on the agenda item of the site church? And if there's any questions directed towards Steve regarding that site plan, and then we'll turn to the actual B2 amendment agenda item.
Okay.
I just don't want to commingle them because for record purposes and things like that.
It's kind of hard to comment on something that wouldn't be allowed in a B2 zone. So I don't know what to say.
I agree. But I'm just talking about the site plan and what's pulled up in the picture and design and things like that. We're not expected to take any action on this, obviously, since it's not currently allowed. But just a quick preliminary review of it, and then we'll turn the page.
It sounds like Moore has some comments.
Yeah, I have a comment on the site plan. The overflow parking lot, Steve, what's driving that location? It seems as though there's an opportunity to move it closer to the primary parking lot, say behind the existing residential property, and disturb less green space.
We would certainly, Jim, push that lot as close as we can to the existing lot. There is about a 10-foot climb in elevation, so it was sort of to take the road between the two and use the roadway as the climb in elevation, and then when the ground levels off a little bit more to build the parking lot. But otherwise, there would be no reason to have it pushed that far away. And when we get into grading and drainage plans, we'll do what we can. Certainly cheaper and a lot more aesthetically pleasing if we can maintain as much vegetation and work with the existing topography as best as we can.
Yeah,
so that's a I'll take.
It'd be interesting to see if that overflow parking lot could be turned 90 degrees and moved forward on the site. But I understand your concern about existing grades.
We're going to make that as cost efficient and as least disturbance to ground and trees. So we'll certainly take that into consideration.
Steve, I have a couple questions. The agenda mentions something about a lot line adjustment.
So this project, yep. Were you done, Ralph, or do you have some more to add? I apologize if I interrupted.
No, we could start there. Go ahead. Sorry.
So this project, amongst the whatever, maybe there's 20 some uses allowed in the B2 zone. We had gotten zoning variances, and I think at the time we were working with the Onderdonk family, we had gotten zoning variances to put in 5 building lots at the end of Onderdonk Ave and up to a maximum of 26 apartments. So during that process, it was agreed that the people most impacted would be abutting the parcel, and that would be the people off of Barber Drive. So they'd be at the south end of this project, and then also the one home closest to the overflow parking lot. So what we had done during that approval with those variances for the apartments was to provide lot line adjustments, and I think they were maybe 15 to 20 feet in the rear yard of all those residences to our south, plus the gentleman that would be close to the overflow parking. So that is all about trying to be kind to the neighbors, really what that boils down to. And because that was made part of the zoning variance for the apartments, we had talked with Pastor Brad and his group, and they had no issue with continuing to provide that.
Okay. Is the Honor Dock home part of this parcel?
It is not. There are no houses related to the parcel. I think the Honor Dock home, Ralph, is the one behind the big retaining wall, and it's the rectangular shape right near the highway. So no, that is owned by. I don't believe that's any longer in the family. The map shows someone by the name of Warraby that is the owner of that.
Yeah, that's cut out with a separate property line, right?
Yeah.
That is correct. And this parcel, just so you know, is about 6.42 acres.
And the only other question I have, Steve, is that with possibly 100 cars, or I should say 200 cars, exiting out of one exit, do you think you would be you would come back and exit off onto Honor Dock Lane at some point?
I would ask that you make that a condition, that we don't do that out of respect for those neighbors. We are actually, that one little dashed area that you see there, Ralph, is an existing Crusher Run Drive that the neighbors use now, because in the winter time, one gentleman has a plow truck. It's hard for him to pull out on Honor Dock Ave where it is now. He said his plow has to be halfway out into the lane before he can see, because that's just a horrible location for because of that retaining wall. So we really would have no intent for that. You're typically talking Sunday masses here with people. It's not, honestly, like everyone runs out the door at the exact same time and hops in their car and goes. So we don't sense with typically Sundays that this would be an issue as far as traffic, but we have no intentions to use that Honor Dock Avenue.
So 200 cars exiting out onto 9 to 20, you don't think would be an issue with traffic?
On a Sunday morning, early afternoon, whatever it would be, the answer would be no. They would queue up. There's plenty of room there to queue, and if they're not being paid, I think Pastor Brad would have some words for them.
Yeah, I do think 9 and 20, which Adam knows more than I do, but it's pretty under capacity.
I was just concerned about actually pulling out, cars going down towards Albany, having to cross, lanes of traffic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just a comment.
Yep.
If this route was like, let's say, a big retail store with that kind of traffic, and it was going to be Friday at 5 o'clock, I'd be 100% in agreement with you. I think the fact that the use as a church with maybe very small gatherings during the week, not church masses with 200 cars, but maybe civic groups or things of that nature. But so I don't think on a Sunday would
I
be
just
an
look
issue.
at Holy Spirit parking lot, and pulling out a 9 to 20 when that was the only way out was quite a chore. And now, of course, you got three ways to exit that parking lot.
Yeah,
Right.
I think a project of this size is going to require a TDE. So I would hope that they would review that.
Right.
Yep.
Steve, I got a question for you. Can I talk to Steve? Steve? Don Panton.
Yep. Go ahead. Yep.
I see the connection there between overflow and the regular parking lot. Are cars and people going to be traveling on it at the same time? Walking, I should say.
They would, Don. So I guess what we could do is propose maybe a paved walk path as well to get people off to the side of that access road. That's a good point.
That's what I was thinking, because boy, that's not going to be good with the cars coming down there.
Yeah. And again, Don, and to, I think it was Jim Moore's point as well, we're going to we're going to make that overflow parking lot work the best it can with the grade. So that may be pushed closer and reoriented. But if it came back the way it looks now, we would probably extend that dark gray sidewalk in front of the building now and extend it up into this overflow parking lot so people could, get off the parking lot quick and onto a sidewalk.
Okay.
Did I miss anyone on the site plan? Chris, did you comment on it? We got a little mixed up there.
No,
Yep.
I would tell you, Adam, that most of the darker green that you see is probably would be a wooded buffer. So what we're trying to show is where we would clear trees and the rest of it would remain wooded buffer. So where the main building in the parking lot is now, it's a little bit more scattered trees. If you drive by, you can look right in there. But the darker green, that the intention would be to keep the trees there. And I don't know if we'd want picnic areas or things of that nature. But it would not be, I would assume it would not be a clear cut, and we can follow up with Pastor Brad on that. And I would say, especially to those neighbors to our south, I mean, the last thing you'd want to do is open that right up to their backyard. So.
All right, so Chris, I think you're about to talk.
yeah, that's actually what I was going to ask, is if it was all going to be clear cut and exposed to the neighbors.
Yeah.
So
Hey, well, luckily, a lot of the neighbors are headstones.
is there a cemetery back there?
Yeah, so if you look-
Cemetery. Yeah. To the north and to the west of us is a cemetery.
yeah, so the left side of the screen is that cemetery.
Okay.
And then if you go
So are
past
all the houses, are all the brown shapes houses then?
That's correct. Those are existing homes. I think there's 1, 2, 3. I think there's 3 or 4 on Onderdonk Avenue.
Okay.
And right at the intersection of Onderdonk Avenue 9 and 20, I believe that's the Napa site, Napa Auto Parts.
Yep. And then, so if you look if you were looking to